Party, Ronna Romney-McDaniel, on the other end of our AT&T line. It's like a Super Bowl week, isn't it, really?
It really is. It's like the Sweet 16 from March Madness, huh?
Yeah, and it's exciting, and then we're going to be talking about it all week leading up to Thursday night, and then Friday morning completely devoted to what happened the night before, because as it shakes out now, there'll be a 9 o'clock, as I understand it, on Fox primetime debate with the 10 highest ranking candidates, and then there's what Lindsey Graham is calling the happy hour debate at 5 o'clock with the rest of the crowd. Do I have it right? And when will the 10 be determined that are going into the primetime debate on Thursday?
The 10 are determined on August 4th, tomorrow, when the polls close, and it's determined by the top 10 candidates polling the highest in the 5 most recent polls. So Rick Perry right now and Governor Kasich are fighting it out for that final spot. And then the rest of the candidates will be heard in that 5 p.m. debate. I hadn't heard it be called the happy hour debate. I'm curious if there's going to be cocktails served.
Where I am, there will be, that's for sure. Where will you watch?
I will be in Cleveland. I will be there for the debate. All the RNC members will be there. We actually have our RNC meeting this week in Cleveland. I'm actually flying out today. So there will be an audience of 5,000 people at the Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland.
It's interesting that you mention Governor Kasich and former Governor Perry fighting for that last spot, because they both seem to have quite varying strategies if they get into that debate. For instance, in this audio right here, Rick Perry is saying he's going to push back against Donald Trump, and he's not shy about it. Here's what he says.
Very focused, disciplined candidate, and you add that to the record, and I feel very comfortable about where we are at this particular moment in time.
Yeah, he and Donald Trump's been a little tough on him, saying that he's wearing glasses because he's trying to look more intelligent. And we all remember what happened to Governor Perry in Michigan last time round when he flamed out essentially in Rochester here at one of these debates. And now Kasich, though, for what it's worth, says he doesn't want his campaign taking any shots at Donald Trump because it takes away from his own messaging. Here's what he says.
I'm governor of Ohio. I wasn't traveling around the country trying to make a name for myself. I was just trying to take care of Ohio. And not many national reporters wanted to come out here and cover something that was going well.
And his campaign was famous for saying that preparing for a debate with Donald Trump is like preparing for a NASCAR race when one of the drivers is drunk.
Yeah, but I think he made his John Weaver take that back. Kasich did. But, you know, they all are going to have a challenge. There's a lot of people on the stage, and they've got to get their message out, and they want to be, you know, quoted on your show the next morning. So that's going to be critical for each of them to get their message out. But it's the first preview of our great field of candidates. It's exciting. There's a lot of energy. And, of course, we've been lucky enough to have so many of them come to Michigan and get a lot more time to share their message with our voters.
Yes, and throughout the week we'll be hearing clips of my interviews with many of these candidates as they have passed through Michigan, because I think it's curious to get their take on our state. You remain neutral in your role as chairwoman of the Michigan Republican Party. However, it is interesting to look at this list, and the latest one that I see shows Donald Trump on top with 19%, although he is lowering expectations and saying, you know, I'm not a debater. What do you make of that strategy?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how he does in the debates, because he hasn't been a debater. He hasn't been in politics. I think one of the things that's resonating with our whole field of candidates is they're being accessible. They're talking to the media. They're talking to the grassroots. They're not scripted. And I found that with every candidate as they come through Michigan. The only one who's kind of holding that rope up and keeping the voters away is Hillary Clinton. And I think that's not going to serve her well as time goes on.
Speaking of Secretary, Senator, former First Lady Clinton, there is some rumbling now that perhaps Vice President Biden might get in the race. He's going to decide by September. Do you hope that he gets in? Does it matter to you? What do you think?
I'm excited about our field, although I can see with Democrats, and I've talked to some of my Democratic friends, they don't love a coronation on their side. They'd like to see a contest. They don't like it, the nomination just being awarded to one person. So I always think that's good to have at least a choice and have a real debate, because you are running for President of the United States. And I know I'm really thrilled with our field and how accessible they've been and the way they've been interacting with the voters, and certainly talking to the media and taking the tough questions.
I think it's fascinating. And I, you know, I'm a little bit suspicious, because in my mind, all this attention the GOP candidates are getting by having 17 of them running, they're dominating the news cycle. particularly Donald Trump at the moment. But we all know how that goes. Somebody rises up, somebody comes down. But on the Democratic side, there's no real news, because if Secretary Clinton is the nominee, there's not much to talk about. So I wonder maybe if someone might be encouraging Vice President Biden to go ahead and run for a while so that at least they can get some attention. What do you make of that?
Well, she's got a tough record right now. I mean, and I think rightly so. A lot of eyes are focused on her in terms of some of the things that she has to make an accounting for, specifically the emails, the lack of transparency, her record as Secretary of State. And certainly we're all concerned about where the United States is on a national security forum right now, and she's got a lot to do with that, with the Iran deal, with ISIS, with our relations with Russia. And so with her being the only Democrat candidate, really, that's going to end up, we presume, getting a nomination, she's going to be focused on for the next several months. And I don't know if her record's going to stand up. So maybe they're looking at her and saying, you know, she might not win. We might need to get somebody else in case she falters under the spotlight.
Will you attend the Donald Trump event in Birch Run next week?
I don't know if I'm going to attend. I had a previously scheduled event, but I do want to support the Genesee and Saginaw counties, and I have been present at a lot of the presidential visits to Michigan. So I could see myself attending. I don't know right now.
And are there more potential candidates that will turn up at Mackinac Island, or are you set with your field right now?
We have our field set right now. We are negotiating with several other campaigns, and we will be announcing them as they confirm.
Okay, so we could probably expect more to join the list?
Yeah, I would expect that we'll have certainly more speakers on the list.
Who wouldn't want to come to Mackinac Island in September, especially with Michigan being such an important state in the race for president?